So, Burt Admiraal, the director of H&L Australia, firstly, thank you for being a great customer of ours. You've been with us for a hell of a long time.
How long have we been with you now?
You've been with us now for 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so
wow.
You're one of our earlier customers. So
That's
I really appreciate that, of what you've done for us. But today's about you. And I really want to take an opportunity to understand more about H&L and where it's come from and why do you exist in the market today?
Okay. Well, Declan, it all started 32 years ago. So 32 years ago, I had a problem. And of course, the issue was that we really didn't have good inventory management. And one of the things that I found as an operator in hotels was that you'd get to the end of the month, you'd do your typical stock take, you extend your stock take, and at the end of the month, you knew that you were a few $1,000s down, but you didn't know where or why or how, who stole it, whether it was stolen, whether it was broken, or whether it was short delivered. So that's when we came up with the idea of let's improve stock management. So H&L, a lot of people think H&L is a point of sale company. Actually, it isn't a point of sale company. It's a stock and inventory management company.
Right.
And that's probably the key difference between us and a lot of our competitors, is that they've sort of come from the point of sale position downwards, and we've come from the inventory management upwards. And point of sale is only really like a 10% part of the problem, and that's the bit that does the decrementation. So that's the principle between the difference between us and others.
Yes.
Is the fact that we're inventory and they're pure point of sale.
And then roll it on 32 years.
Yep.
What's the extent of H&L now?
Well, now we're in every capital city across Australia, including
Right.
Hobart and Darwin, which I always throw in because people forget about Hobart and Darwin. And having presence in those two cities is really important as well. Hobart is probably one of our strongest states, second to South Australia. Obviously, South Australia is our home state, so we're extremely strong in South Australia, and our brand has got a very good recognition in South Australia. Hobart and Tasmania, we're extremely well positioned. Followed then by Melbourne, obviously Perth, and then up to Sydney and Brisbane and so on. But so we're a national company. We've got across the country we've got 85 employees, so they're all full-time H&L employees. We don't have agencies, and really I suppose that comes back to where 8 years ago Voiteck became very important to us, because being a national company we needed to have communication flowing easily around the country. And I remember the day that one of my frustrations prior to setting up our relationship was that I found that I'd walk into an office in another city and find that I had to completely reset myself up every time, So,
Gotcha.
And being the fact that my role is travelling a lot, it became very frustrating, is that I'd spend a half an hour to sometimes an hour getting my internet connection set up, getting my phone connection set up and so on. And really, I suppose 8 years ago when we talked about how to fix this, and what we've ended up now is with the national network, our staff can answer a phone anywhere in Australia and transfer that call to anywhere in Australia. And it means that we've got what I call in our business our one office mentality. And I keep trying to tell my people to really understand that imagine you're just all sitting in the same room, and it doesn't matter where you are in that room, you can pass calls to each other, you can communicate with each other easily, and it's all done via our connection with Voiteck. So it was very important
And I
for
think
us.
we're now getting used to the fact, I'm just going to hone in on that for a moment.
Sure.
We're now getting used to the fact that you can get email wherever you are in the world. But it's actually only now really come to bear that your landline telephone extension can follow you anywhere in the world as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably the key to it, is because I actually don't have a handset on my desk. As a matter of fact, probably in our business, we have handsets for some that prefer it, but then a lot of them just work straight through their computers to a headset. I found that I don't do that at all. I just have everything diverted to my mobile device, because I could be anywhere. So all my calls come in through my mobile device. So if you ring H&L landline, you get anybody in our office and you ask to speak to me, they redirect it to me. It goes to my phone on my desk, which doesn't exist, which is then automatically diverted to my mobile. So anywhere I am, you can communicate with me, which I think is a real advantage, especially when you're travelling a lot.
Yeah. So you're not a technologist, but you've created a technology-based
Absolutely.
company.
I'm absolutely not the technologist. I suppose where I fit into the business is I come up with ridiculous ideas, and then I go to my people with the technology background, the
Yeah.
likes of John Hardy, my business partner, who we've been business partners for 32 years, and I say, here is an idea, what do you think? And mostly they say, don't be ridiculous.
Yes.
And then it seems that after a while, the ridiculous idea starts to get some traction. Like I remember back in 2006, when 2005, 2006, when we'd successfully rolled out our Windows conversion from DOS to Windows. So
wow.
Prior to 2000, we were DOS.
Right.
So when we sort of our inception in '87 was DOS through until about 1999. Then we converted to Windows, which was an absolute nightmare. Right. Just in the conversion, just the technology conversion.
Because that was a really big step up, wasn't
massive
it?
Step up, and it was a massive disruption to our business.
Yeah.
It was a case of, and it's typically where we are today. Again, it's almost like a reliving what happened in 2000. A lot of our clients started saying, look, we don't want DOS anymore, we want to go to Windows. And I said, well, why do you want to go to Windows? They said, because everyone's going to Windows.
Yes.
I said, but do you understand what happens when you go to Windows? Now we're having exactly the same transition from Windows to cloud. People are saying, oh, I want to go to cloud. Why do you want to go to cloud? Well, everyone's going to cloud. Yeah, but what's the difference? Do you understand the difference? Do you understand what's happening? Do you understand that there's a lot more vulnerability and risk at this point in time? Not in the future, but just at the moment in the conversion space. And I suppose I understand those sorts of things. But when we did the conversion to Windows back in 05, 06, John said to me, so what do you, John's my business partner, and he said to me, what do you think we should do now? And I said, we've got to get involved in this internet thing.
Yeah.
And internet then was really
I think we could buy it at Dick Smith's at that time.
Yeah, you just got a little yellow box that went beep, 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 beep.
Everyone was happy.
It was fantastic, and all of a sudden you're able to talk across the world for, less than $1. Anyway, and John said, don't be ridiculous. That
won't take off.
No, that will never take off. So here we are in the 2019.
Yeah, wow.
And we're now progressing to the cloud. One of the things that I say to our marketplace, though, and this is about everything that I think that's going on, is we've got to understand that jumping to the cloud is full of all sorts of dangers that we don't necessarily yet know about. I think. And me being non-technology gives me an opportunity to stand back and sort of look at it and go, is it right? So what we've got is a strategy to keep some components on the ground.
Yes.
And I keep calling it on the ground, which is really like stuff that we're used to. And then some components go in the cloud that aren't as critically important day to day.
People call that the hybrid cloud. A bit of both.
They do. But because we've got different components of our product, we can take a product to the cloud that is not time critical, system critical, that isn't for example, point of sale. Okay, point of sale is something that if it stops communicating, your venue can shut down. You literally can't sell things, and your cash drawer doesn't open, your kitchen printer doesn't print, your receipt doesn't print, and chaos. But if your connection to inventory, for example, drops out for a few seconds, for a few milliseconds, or even for a minute, it really isn't system critical because it'll all catch up later. But if you're standing at a point of sale terminal wanting to pay a bill and you have to wait 30 extra seconds, that 30 extra seconds seems like 30 extra minutes. That's the bit I believe we need to be realistic about, and that will all improve as technology improves. Yeah. But at the moment, we're just not ready to make that big jump. So we hold that back.
It's actually the resilience of that internet connection a lot of times.
Correct.
Yeah, and so all of this couples together with NBN, high-speed internet, moving away from ADSLs, etc., etc.
All of that. Yeah.
All of that is symbiotic.
I love it when you're talking those TLAs.
Those acronyms.
Three-letter acronyms.
I've got a few FLAs as well.
You're just pumping them out. I don't know what you're talking about, but it sounds fantastic. Yeah.
So I'm taking you back now 32 years.
Right.
You're probably sitting across the table with John, and you're going, John, I've got an ambition and a dream. And John's going, I've got an ambition and a dream as well.
Yep.
Who was your first employee?
Oh my gosh. A couple of propeller heads. I mean, we're talking serious. They both were socially dysfunctional, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Really nice guys.
Yeah.
Completely different to developers today.
Gotcha.
Programmers and developers today are quite smart and these guys were smart, don't get me wrong. The guy that first started writing our code, we were actually running a hotel, and I was general manager of quite a large hotel operation. And we had everything. We had food and beverage, accommodation, we had a winery. So it's quite, in today's age, was very, very forward thinking and very, very sort of ahead of its time. And this is all part of this trying to get inventory management. We would do 400 or 500 meals on a Sunday. It was that busy. We used to get helicopters flying in. It was one of those really frantic places. And inventory management was really critical. So we came along and we had this guy come into our business as a programmer. And serious propeller head. He looked like Tweedle out of Tweedledee and Tweedledum. You know, he was just one of the two. You know, he had that sort of look and shape. Lovely guy. But all he ever ate was steak and watermelon.
Yeah, right.
That was it.
Yeah, right.
We would lock him in a room and at the hotel. We gave him a hotel room, and he lived there for months.
Yeah.
On steak and watermelon, writing code.
Unbelievable.
All in DOS. So so it's quite. And so that was the beginning of the process. And we basically wrote the product for ourselves, for our own management.
Yes.
Of our venue. But what happened then is it evolved.
So did you not have that ambition and dream at the beginning?
No, it was all about
what you need.
Control. It was about a problem that didn't have a solution.
Got it.
So we fixed the problem. We created a solution, which was inventory management, and then we connected it to point of sale. And in the early days, we did have a few times where we had to sit up all night re-entering everything because it had massive crashes. You can imagine that with DOS. But then it got quite stable. And then we had a few other venues that said, how are you managing your inventory? And we went, well, we're doing this. And they went, oh, wow. So we gave it to them and said, here you go, have it, see how you go with it. So then all of a sudden we realised that we had a product that really had value and people wanted. And then it just went gangbusters. From that day onwards, from about 87 onwards, it just grew. And at around about 90, I came back from Queensland in 92. So 87 to 92, it was sort of going out as a bit of freeware and, mates rates and, John was spending most of his time because we'd finished with that large project, that large hotel project. And John was sort of full-time running around helping people and setting it up. And then I came back from Queensland. I did a big project up in Queensland. I came back in 92 and I said, mate, we can't keep doing this for free.
Yeah.
We're either going to make it work or we're going to shut it up.
Yeah.
Smart business move.
Yeah.
John was quite happy to look after all of these people. But I was looking at it from a business perspective and said, so we've got to be serious about this. So then we said, okay, let's give it 6 months. And if we don't reach these targets in 6 months and 12 months and 2 years, typical business planning, we sat down and strategized on an Anzac Day and had a full day workshop, just the two of us and our accountant, and put down a strategy, set some targets and met them. So seriously, within 2 years, we had reasonable turnover. We're now up to 5 or 6 staff. And the business has just grown since then. I think there was a couple of big jumps for us. One was in 99, 2000 when we did the Baker's Delight contract, which was started off as being 320 venues, ended up being 730, including New Zealand and Canada.
Yes.
So that was a big push forward for the business, and obviously the other big push forward for us was ALH, which is the ALH Hotel Group, which is 338 hotels. So those two were big step forward for our business.
Now you've grown your team to 85 staff. What strategies and also what lessons have you got for, if someone's listening, watching this and they're recruiting people, what strategies do you put in place for your people? And then what lessons have you learned within that recruitment?
Yep. Look, interesting you asked that because I made a comment yesterday to two of my senior managers and I said to them, they said to me, we're having a problem with this person. And I said to them, are you sure we're not setting that person up for failure?
Right.
Are you giving that person the right tools? Are you giving that person the right assistance? Are you training that person correctly? Are you working with them rather than throwing up barriers for them? It's a new person in the business, and I'm saying to them, don't look at them as being a problem. Look at them as it's your problem, and you now need to give them training. So I always come back to if you don't give them good training, if you don't nurture them and look after them, then they will struggle and they will die. And I think a lot of people in small business, and we're only a small business, but a lot of people in small business will tend to go, well, here's a job, here's the keys to the car, here's your portfolio, go out and make it work. And if they don't, you throw your arms up in the air and say, oh, they were hopeless, they were useless. And sometimes, well, not sometimes, a lot of time, it's your own fault. So you're the one that needs to nurture, train, educate, and spend time with those people. And that's probably the key, I think, is that as you employ, you need to spend time, and a lot of time with them, not just a bit of time.
And what do you look for in that new staff member?
Oh, today it's getting more difficult, especially with the, and I know everyone's going to go, oh yeah, the millennials, but they are different.
Well, the millennials are now making decisions.
They're making decisions.
They're 19, 20 years of age.
Yeah, and they're making decisions because they think they know everything, and unfortunately they still don't. But you try to tell them that's very difficult. So managing them is also tricky because you don't want to throw a bucket of water on them by saying no, that's not right. You want to let them grow and you want to let them evolve, but at the same time you've got to pull them back into line every now and then and say, look, it's all well and good for you to have that idea. It's an okay idea, but it's not an idea based on 30 or 40 years experience.
Yes.
So it's a great idea, and millennials are doing that. They're coming up with fantastic ideas, especially like I made the move going back about 18 months now, and obviously we had someone looking after our social media and after our marketing and so on. And as social media is changing, I realised that I had the wrong person looking after my social media. The person I had looking after social media was too old.
Yeah, right.
So I went and employed a 21-year-old.
Right. Wow.
And she's fantastic because she understands it. She communicates really well in it. She understands how to push stuff out.
She's never known the non-existence of it.
Correct. Dead right. So that's the difference. And I think employing people today, you've got to be aware that they are different. They think differently. They think differently to us, and they work differently to us.
No, gotcha.
So,
totally.
Yeah.
Communication. So your customers, your team, your leadership team, it's one of the best things, and I love hearing stories about H&L. I was explaining to you before at Streaky Bay, point of sale, sitting there, great facility, and they were able to take my money really easily, lots of it on that night.
It didn't stop working.
But everything's about that communication.
Yeah.
You've got a distributed workforce.
Yeah.
You mentioned New Zealand, you mentioned Canada, you mentioned Australia.
Yeah.
What are some of the strategies, again, and lessons that you've put in place for making sure your communication is right to all of your guys?
Sure. Look, there's two bits of communication. One is the bit to our people, and then the one is the bit from our people to our, what I call our clients.
Yeah.
So I sort of work on three tiers. There's our people, our clients, and our customers. Now, our customers are actually our clients' customers, if that makes sense. So the communication has to be all the way down. What I don't want is my clients saying to my customers, oh, this system's crap.
Yes.
So it's really important that we fix that system and keep it running. And you've got to realise that our operating hours for our business are extensive, as you would know in having to support us. Because if we have a problem on a Saturday night at 11 o'clock, we have to fix it.
Correct. Because
our client on a Saturday night at 11 o'clock is still going to be trading for 3 or 4 or 5 hours. And of course, because we're across the country, we have to keep our lines of communication open. As you know, because if we have a problem, we have to come to you and you have to fix it quickly for us so we can fix our client's problem so they can fix their customer's problem.
Correct.
It sort of flows down the line. So one of the things that's critical to us is our help desk. And our help desk runs, it physically runs from 7 a.m. till 10 p.m. on site, and then it's distributed then to mobile devices for our tech team who are then on call. So we need a system where a one-stop shop, or one number, can bring it into the help desk between the hours of trading. Then from the help desk, if the help desk is closed, so 10 p.m. on any night of the week, it then has to automatically transfer to a person somewhere in Australia. And it has to be a designated person each time because that person is now rostered to take the call.
Yep.
So it's a fairly intricate sort of system. And as you know, we've had some good workshops where we've sat down and done the customer journey to ensure that we get from call landing to problem solved.
Yes.
And how we manage that and how we communicate that with our clients. So communication outward is really important, but we need to also ensure that we've got good lines of communication or good lines of clients being able to get into us as well. So we now have multiple. We have obviously we have the telephone, and I noticed they're putting telephone boxes back out so people can actually ring up from a telephone box if they need to, which is good. Which I don't think anyone would ever do.
Yeah.
Then there's so it's phone communication into our help desk and then automatically distributed nationally. We also now have for some of our remote and out of hours clients, like a typical Canada, for example.
Yes.
We do all that communication via email.
Yes.
And it works really well because time-wise they're happy with it and they're now educated into it. And then we also now have live chat. So live chat is coming in as well.
Yeah.
And our help desk is taking live chat. What I love about live chat is that they can be communicating with 3 or 4 customers, clients at exactly the same time, which is valuable.
Which is brilliant.
Yeah.
And then if you take that to the next stage, possibly one of your next outlandish ideas is how do you implement artificial intelligence or machine learning into all of that to then support your customers.
I'm liking what you're talking about. I'm liking it, but I'll have to learn more about it. I've got no idea how we're going to make that work.
Because I think get the brand right, get the communication right, and that really works well for customers.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we're not challenged with, we have an opportunity to fix at the moment is we have our clients on different levels of support.
Yes.
And as you know, what we're working on at the moment is to try and automate the levels of support so that when they call in, if they're on because we have some clients that just want to be 9 to 5 Monday, Friday, and they pay for that service. If they call outside of those hours, we want to be able to warn them or let them know that there may be some costs associated with this call. So we need to manage that part of it. And as you know, we've been working quite well on getting that all together and getting that customer journey sorted so we can get the comms right. But then on top of that, we need marketing to communicate out to them that this is the new process, this is the new phone number, this is how it'll all happen. So that all of that has to be packaged up. You can't just flick a switch and go, okay, here you go, phone rings, you answer the call, oh, hang on, what's this? I now have to pay? I've never paid before, what's going on? So we need to manage that.
Education.
It's not just an easy case of flicking the switch.
No, I totally agree. Final question for myself, Burt. I'm now giving you a magic wand. In the magic wand in respect to hospitality as well as technology to support hospitality. Next 3 years, what are we actually going to be looking at?
Probably the biggest issues we have in the business at the moment is the fact that the consumer is moving faster than the supplier in our case.
Right.
So it's not us that's slow. It's not the customer at the end that's slow. It's the bit in the middle.
Yeah.
And the bit in the middle, which is the client, which is our hotels, they want everything but don't understand why. They go, I need in-seat dining. No problems. How are you going to do in-seat dining? How are you going to manage it? How are you going to control it? I don't know, but I want it. Okay, why do you want it? How are you going to... Well, my customers are asking for it because they want to order stuff on their net. So give me an app. Everyone wants apps. They're all saying this, give us an app, give us an app. And I'm saying, but you want an app because you're actually running behind time.
Yes.
Your customers are maybe getting a little bit sick of apps. So you've got to think forward from, let's not build an app today for the customer that's already gone past apps. So let's think of where the customer is going so that we can fix your problem for the future, not for today. And that's, I suppose, the biggest issue. So if I had a magic wand, what I would like to do is get my client base, my hotel client base, to understand where the customers are going.
Gotcha.
And also be able to filter out the noise stuff, the stuff that's really not important, and focus on the things that we should be, that really do make sense for the future,
Loud and clear.
Otherwise they're just gonna consume our time.
Yes.
And they're gonna take away all of our they're gonna consume our time and take away all of our good ideas and make us work on crappy ideas because they insist. And that's the biggest issue. So I've had a magic wand is train my clients to understand.
Train and educate your customer base of what that looks like.
That word's come up a lot, hasn't it? Train and education.
All the way through. Communication is such a key thing.
Correct.
Burt Admiraal, H&L Director, thank you so much for joining us today with Voiteck Connect. Thank you for being a great customer of Voiteck, and thank you for your passion and your belief about your products and services.
Excellent.
Good on you, Burt.
Thank you, Declan. Absolute pleasure.